Hello everyone, this is Safrina and Feng Shui and Prosper. Anyway, very happy to come to this topic that I'm going to discuss today. For those of you who are not familiar with me, if I'm brand new to you, again, my name is Safrina Kaji. I am a classical Feng Shui consultant. I've been consulting for 8 years now. And I help my clients achieve peak prosperous flow in their home, their business, their office, and any spaces really. And so while we're waiting on more people to come on board, those of you who are watching me live, feel free to say hi. I'd like to know who you are, and feel free to share as well, especially your friends and family who you think would be open to some information about how to properly use Feng Shui for fertility. Now, there's a bit of a backstory to how I'm covering this topic. Is for some reason the past few weeks when I have people reaching out to me for private consultations, fertility seems to be one of the common issues right now. Hey Nita, thanks for joining. And thanks for the loves, by the way, the hearts. So the past 1 week even, I've had like maybe 3 or 4 inquiries about fertility. And this is actually a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, because this was one of the momentous times in my own life where Feng Shui, the real kind of Feng Shui, really worked for me. So my husband and I, just giving you a bit of a background in terms of how Feng Shui worked for me in this area, is that my husband and I, a year and a half into our marriage, we decided, okay, it's time to start a family. And I was 26 at the time. He is older, but not even that much older, right? So even with that, you know, we're young, we're healthy, but it still took us a year and a half and nothing happened. I didn't even get pregnant. And you know, because those of us who have been, you know, in the conceiving, you know, fertility path, we know that sometimes you get pregnant and within the first trimester you lose it. I didn't even get to that point. It just never stuck. Literally never stuck. And all the tests came back okay, right? Nothing's wrong with him, nothing was wrong with me. And so the doctor just kind of wrote it off and say, you know what, I think you guys are probably just stressed out, just kind of chill, and it's just gonna happen. And those of you who have been trying to conceive, you know how hard it is to actually do that. You know, when you're in the process of making a baby, it's hard for you to relax, because in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, I hope it sticks this time, right? So it wasn't until I got properly certified 8 years ago, when I got properly certified, that I realized that in Flying Star Feng Shui specifically, that there are specific bed positionings that you can tap into that has what my grandmasters would call it as the baby combination Flying Star. So giving you guys some Flying Star information here. I'm gonna draw on this board. It's gonna be flipped. It's gonna be mirror image, but I can't fix it. It's just how Facebook is. So whatever oh wait, no, we're not gonna do it this way. Actually, let's do it. Let's go with the flow. So if you're period 9, period 8, let's say, right? Those of you who have been following Flying Star Feng Shui, you've seen this kinds of grid before. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then you're gonna have like, you know, a number to the left and a number to the right, right? So just to give you a little bit of insight to Flying Star Feng Shui, you don't look at the number in the center. That is only used when you're trying to figure out the period of your home. Once you decide the period of your home, you look at the top left and the top right numbers. Now the top left is affects your health and relationship, and the top right affects your finances. So this is what we call the mountain star, and this is what we call the water star. Now, in classical school of Feng Shui, we actually go much deeper. We look at the combination of these numbers, and each combination has another meaning to it, right? Because usually when we look at this is, you know, one meaning for health and relationship, and the top right has another meaning for money, but the combination will give another whole different and energy reading to that space. It could be health, could be relationship, could be money, could be businesses, could be, you know, what potentially could happen to descendants, even potentially how people could die, depending on the flying star, and if it's supported by external Feng Shui. Now, I'm giving you that as a background and of true Feng Shui, which is why it is confusing. It is a lot of information, but that is how Feng Shui is meant to be practiced. So if a lot of you guys are doing fast with Feng Shui and you're not getting results, that's the reason why. So the combination of the top left and the top right number is what we call the 81 combinations. And I know you guys can Google it and whatever, but the ones that I've seen, the other schools, how they interpret the 81 combination is not as detailed as how I've been trained. Anyway, there are certain 81 combinations that actually trigger fertility, okay? And it is a little, just figuring out the location and the direction of the bed alone can help you tap into this. Now, the downside is not all homes have this baby combination potential, okay? And so sometimes when it's hard for my clients to get pregnant, sometimes it is the home that actually blocks that. I've had one, you know, back in December, would say, you know, the first time they tried to get pregnant in a previous house, it went like, it was quick, it was easy, there was no drama to it at all. After they moved, they just kept trying and trying, and every month it was just, you know, they would get pregnant and they would lose it again. So the limitations of Feng Shui, because that's what I was alluding to. Sorry, I'm just gonna wipe this. So that's one of the limitations, in that some homes will block fertility, but as long as you know how to place the bed, then you're gonna, for some homes, then you'll be able to tap into that. The other thing would be, when I have clients who come to me for to help boost their success luck, is I also take a look at their astrology, okay? In that, are there any children luck in their birth chart, their Chinese astrological chart? So going back to my personal story, we tried getting pregnant for 1.5 years and nothing happened. When I got certified, both in Flying Star Feng Shui as well as in Chinese birth chart, I took a look at both my husband's and my birth charts. I have what's called the children luck. He didn't. So remember, going back to the 3 divine lucks, right? The heaven luck, the earth luck, and the mankind luck. Your astrology is heaven luck. So where heaven luck is concerned, my husband didn't have that fertility luck in his birth chart, whereas I did. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna write this down. Okay, again, it's gonna be flipped, but you'll have an idea. So heaven luck, earth luck, and mankind luck. For heaven luck, my husband didn't have this in his chart, okay? For earth luck, where we were, sorry, it's a little bit dirty here. For earth luck, where we lived at that time also had issues. The Feng Shui was also bad for babies. So now we're left with mankind luck. What these lucks basically mean is they come together and they ultimately decide what ends up manifesting in your world, in your life. So heaven luck has 1/3 of the power, earth luck has 1/3, mankind luck has 1/3. So astrology, your karma, your destiny, that's in heaven luck. Feng Shui is in your earth luck. And then mankind luck is our actions, our decisions. Now, obviously, with the baby making, we had the mankind luck, right? We were trying, we were making sure that, you know, that whatever you need to make babies happens at the most fertile time, right? That was all we had working for us, which obviously wasn't working because we only had 1 out of 3. But once I figured out the heaven luck, where my husband had issues, and then I figured out and I fixed the Feng Shui for our home to activate for fertility. 2 months later, we got pregnant with my older one. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be 2 months for everyone, okay? It's just how powerful are you able to tap into that? And even with the astrological affliction in my husband's chart, usually what we ended up doing was we did charity on our heavenly wealth days. Actually, charity on any day is fine, but if you want additional boost, then we did charity on both of our heavenly wealth days. Actually, more for him because he's the one that had that astrological affliction for children. And we specifically donated to children's charities. Okay, so that helped a little bit in terms of the heaven luck. I fixed the Feng Shui so that then the earth luck is good, and then obviously we kept on trying. So 2 months later, we got pregnant. Now, some of you who have been following me, hey Resendez, thanks for your comment there. So those of you who have been following me, you know that I have a second baby. She's only 16 months old. And this time around, so let me do this. So this time around, I did get pregnant, but I was in a very stressful job. That was actually before we started trying again. But just right before we got pregnant with Miss May, which is 16 months old, and before I did my Feng Shui consulting full time, this was 4 years ago, I was in a very high stress job. I was selling IT, softwares and hardware to hospitals here in Toronto. And it was high stress. I did get pregnant twice while I was on the job, and I lost it twice. So what happened during that time is that our earth luck was good, meaning our Feng Shui for fertility was good for that place that we were currently living in. But remember, my husband had that astrological affliction his whole life. His whole life he's not supposed to have children. But again, even astrology is not set in stone, because obviously now he's got 2 kids, right? If you do things properly, you can still make your astrology work for you. Meaning, even if there are like negative things in your astrology, you can still turn things around, okay? But the thing is, for me now, astrologically, both of us, he has he's crossed out for heaven luck. I'm crossed out for heaven luck too. Because in my Chinese astrology, between 2007 and 2017, which in Chinese astrology is called our 10-year luck pillar, okay? For me personally, between 2007 till 2017, I had the energy of miscarriage, okay? So even though in my whole life chart, I have children luck, for that specific period of my life though, the chances for miscarriage is high. And when I had my second miscarriage, the funny thing about me is I look at my clients' astrology more than I look at mine. Personally, I don't want to know too much about my own life, right? That's just me. So when I had the second miscarriage, And I actually had to go to the hospital for it because it was ectopic, meaning the egg got stuck in my fallopian tube. So I had to have surgery to actually take the egg out. And so one of my fallopian tube is actually now tied. So when that happened, and I told my master that, you know, I was recuperating in the hospital, it's still emotional. I was recuperating in the hospital, and she told me, she said, you know why the miscarriages are happening, right? And I was like, hey Nellie, so glad to see you join us. So when my master, she said, she looked at me, she said, you know why your miscarriages happened, right? And I said, no, actually I don't. And he's like, how come you don't look at your own chart? Miscarriages are in your 10-year luck pillar. So that dawned on me that while having a high stress job, which is my mankind luck, having a high stress job definitely didn't help, but I was now also personally afflicted for my heaven luck. So now we're like, oh, I'm like, okay, great. Now both my husband and I are astrologically afflicted. Hey Nandini, afflicted for children. And again, we're left with the earth luck and the mankind luck. So what happened was when I finally got pregnant again, so after the second pregnancy, we actually put it on hold. We're like, okay, it's too stressful. We'll be happy with just one. But, you know, the biological clock, right? After like a year or so later, we started revisiting that conversation again. And this time I got pregnant, and my master, she took me to her Buddhist temple here in Toronto. We spent the whole day, we fasted, we prayed for, you know, for a safe, for this baby to stick, and also for a safe delivery. And it was also, so that's like helping with the heaven luck, right? And I did my donations as well, helping with the heaven luck. And it was also winter time here in Toronto, so I also make sure that when I'm outside with the snow and everything, that I'm very, very careful, okay? Our actions, our decisions. And so 2015 in October, my baby was born. So that's my personal story about how you can use Feng Shui to activate for fertility if that baby combination energy is in your home. If not, then you can still work with the mankind luck and the heaven luck, okay? For me personally, having 2/3 is good, but the heaven luck is a tricky one, right? That's a tricky one to do. So even though I had 2/3, the heaven luck being against both of us, right? It's not just us, about one of us having that astrological issue with children. Both of us having that now, it's more, it was more of a challenge for sure. And so if you guys have any questions about this topic, feel free to write down in the comment. Lisa said, I've had 2 miscarriages since my daughter, who is almost 7, hoping to have another one soon. Oh, Lisa, yeah, so sorry. Another child. Oh, okay. I thought you were pregnant. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to jump on that. But that was my own personal journey. And I call my 2 babies my Feng Shui babies because they truly are. They truly are my Feng Shui babies. And I'm also very, very honored for Matt to have a Feng Shui master who is so invested in me as well, that she took her own, you know, her own time to, you know, spend a whole day at the temple with me. And so, yeah, so when I started getting recently, like I said, the past 1 or 2 weeks recently, there's just seemed to be more clients asking me for a consult to help them with that I realized that some people may know that you can use Feng Shui for fertility. Other people may not have been exposed to this. But again, it's not for everyone. So how I work with this with my clients is that, again, we look at the heaven luck, we look at the earth luck, And of course, with the mankind luck, I just tell my clients, like, you know, have there are apps on the smartphone that help you track your cycles, so that you can increase your chances of getting pregnant, right? That's the mankind luck. The other thing too is in terms of the mankind luck, if you have medical issues that's blocking conceiving or pregnancy, that does make it harder. Okay, Feng Shui plus any medical intervention needs to be done. Now, my past successes with clients who worked one-on-one with me to do this, again, very healthy. Actually, I have so far, to be honest with you, the ones who actually did the consult for fertility, so far has been 4, okay, that have ended up in babies. One, actually most of them are healthy. One had some issues, but she went on a treatment protocol and was able to address that. So all of them, let me see, natural conception was 2. 2 of them were naturally conceived, and the other 2 were fertility treatments. Now, some of you might say that, well, you know, Feng Shui didn't help because they went for fertility treatments. But how many times have you heard of people, you know, wasting 10, 20, 30,000 on fertility treatments and still not getting pregnant, right? So these 2 clients of mine, fertility treatments here in Canada, well, at least here in Ontario, is $10,000 per try, okay? So 2 of these clients of mine, they only had that one shot. They saved up for many, many months to get that $10,000. So they only had one shot. So we made sure that we Feng Shuied their home as best as possible. We placed their bed, located their bed to absorb that baby luck, to boost their chances. And then we did date selection for them to do the fertility treatment. One shot was all they had. And for these 2 couples, one shot was all they needed, right? The very first, my very first client Feng Shui baby, she's, I think, 4 or 5 years old now. And then the second one actually is just 3 months old. So, again, it's just something that not a lot of people are aware of, because Feng Shui, usually people think about Feng Shui for health and money and for relationships. Fertility is something that's not being talked about very, very often. And so, yeah, so that is what I mean by holistic. We look at the heaven luck, the earth luck, and the mankind luck. And once you have as much of these luck working for you as possible, then you will have your baby, okay? But of course, you know, the limitations of Feng Shui is I had a client who actually wasn't physically not able to conceive. And I had to gently tell her, well, you know, we can Feng Shui, but if your body, like, you're not, scientifically, biologically, you're not able to carry a baby because you are in menopause already, right? You've already passed that window. Feng Shui on its own, it's not going to work. I'm not going to take your money because it's not going to work, right? Feng Shui is not black magic. It's not voodoo. It's just helping you align yourself with the best energies possible to help you get the desired results as best as possible, as quickly as possible, okay? So, not sure if any of you guys have any questions around it, or if there's anything that I need to clarify a little bit more, but that's pretty much the information that I wanted to share with you. Now, some of you are probably wondering, well, Safrina, in the beginning you said, you know, you placed your bed to tap into that baby combination. What is the baby combination? I can't tell you what the position is until I actually look at your home, right? And that would involve a private consultation. I mean, I wish I could say, oh, the baby combination is all the beds need to face north. That's just not how it works, right? Just like Just like a doctor. If you went to a doctor for fertility treatments, the doctor needs to do tests and stuff and review before they can recommend any protocol. The same thing with me. I can't just give out a suggestion without running Feng Shui tests on your home, right? And again, not every home has this combination that they can tap into. So if any of you guys are curious, feel free to either private message me here on Facebook, and we can talk about potentially working deeper so that we can get you that baby that you desire. Or if you're just wondering, you know, we're healthy, you know, we've done our best, what is it that is blocking us? Then we can look at your astrology, we can look at your Feng Shui, and then work with what you have as best as possible and try to give you parenthood, right? So that's all I wanted to share today. Feel free to, and those who are watching the replay, feel free to reach out to me or comment below. And if you feel someone that you know, your friends or family who are spiritually minded and who are also trying for babies, if they're open to chatting with me, feel free to share this video with them as well. I'd be very, very honored and very humbled to do so, if you do so. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go now. Thanks so much for watching me, and thanks so much for the hearts and the likes and stuff like that. And some of you actually shared too. So have a very good day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.